Hello paper crafters, I'm Sunny Sky and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And today I have a card for you that's pretty simple to stamp, but it looks really exciting when you put it together because it has a fold to it. And we're using the Hostess set, so when you host a show or put in a qualifying order, you're able to get this stamp set. So you can see that there's a slit in the side of the card, but not all the way through. So we're going to go through how to put this card together. Now I designed a little template for myself so I would remember what sizes of cardstock to cut, and if you email me I will send you a copy of this template. And then here it is actually on the pieces of cardstock themselves. The colored pieces. So you can see this is where you would place the smaller pieces of cardstock. These are the pieces that you're going to stamp on. So you can see that if you have the card open, this is how it goes together. Now since this is a card that takes more than your standard cardstock size, I wanted to just cut it for you while we're here together. Now a standard card is going to be 5.5 by 8.5 generally, and so you would cut a piece of cardstock in half and get 2 cards. This is 5.5 by 11, so we're going to go ahead and cut 5.5 off. And this scrap is left. You can embellish your project with it or use it for another project. And then you're left with this 5.5 by 11 sheet. So because the card folds inside of itself, instead of scoring the first score at 4 1/4, I'm going to score at 4 1/8 because this is the panel that's going to go inside. And so if you just take the score mark and line that up then at 4 1/4 so that your center panel is 4 1/4 with the standard card size, you can do that. If you have your scoreboard, then you can just go on score at 4 1/8 and then 8 3/8, which is going to be, 4 1/4 farther than your first score line. And so this is how the card will fold. You can see now there's room to do this third fold over here. Okay, and then there's 2 ways to do this next portion. One is, once you have this folded over, this smaller flap, you can just do a little pencil line in there, and that's going to tell you how far over you need to cut from the edge in order for this flap to go in here. Remember, this flap is cut because we're going to split it and insert part behind and part in front. Okay, so if you are a visual person, you can just do your pencil line there. If you are a measuring type person, then I will just tell you that if you cut this line 2 3/4 inches in, it's going to be the right length to go over this fold. And for this particular design, I want the narrower portion on the top and the wider portion on the bottom. So my template shows me that I need to go 3 inches up from the bottom or 2.5 inches down from the top to do this cut. And I'm going to go 2 3/4 inches in just to make sure that I have enough space for that. So if I just start my cutting blade right there and go to the edge, I've got my thing. And you can see it's not quite to that line, so I went a little farther on my 2 3/4 than I have to for this particular one. But it gets the same result. So if you like to measure, there's a measurement for you. If you like to just look at it physically, there's the physical way to do it with that pencil line. All right. So that's how we end up with our full card. Okay, and the next steps are very simple, and that is to take your pieces that you've already cut, and I like to place these on the card first. Now remember, on this side, even though there's not a split piece of cardstock here, you want this dimension to be the same on the bottom. So this is 2 3/4 tall, 2 3/4 tall, 2 1/4, 2 1/4. So you want it to go across there, so make sure that you don't flip them. All right, and you can just turn the video back, pause it where I have all those dimensions to do those. And they're going to be placed there. They're actually going to be glued on the outsides, and then your full card on the inside. So let's go ahead and stamp. And you could even have, if you had a sample card in front of you, you could look at your sample card to remind you where you're stamping those items, which items on which spot. Okay, so this set here really fills the case full. I think what I'm going to do is actually take a picture of where I have the blocks and put it in the back of the stamp case, because there's that layer on the outside where the label goes in that you could add those stamps. But what I have done, and I've done this with a couple of my other sets, is kind of just do a Sharpie line of where the different size blocks go. But I'm thinking that I may do the stamp image in the future, and that is an even better way. Now, there's only one stamp we're not using for this card, and that's the straight vine. So like I said before, the stamping is very simple and straightforward. We just have quite a bit of it to do. So I'm just following my guide here, and I could even switch these just to make it a little bit easier for myself. And I have my little tulip there. Now this flower here, this large stamp, we're doing it twice. You're going to do it on your inside panel, and then it's also going to fit on one of your front panels, but you're only going to have room for part of it. So when you look at it, you may not see that it's the same stamp, but it is. You're just using a portion of that stamp. Now these little flowers here, I've popped them up on the final card. I've cut them out on scrap and then popped them up. So here's my scrap. But what I did do was stamp them on the cardstock also, so I would know where to place my pop flower, just to remind myself. Oops, that one went off the edge there. And it also gives you a little bit of a hint or shadow of the flower behind it, so it gives you some additional dimension if you like that look. And then another tip is these two little birdies. They are on the same panel as the greeting, so make sure you place the birds down near the bottom of your cardstock so that you will have room for the greeting on top. Now one thing you could do is you could stamp the greeting on this layer, even though it's going to be popped up, if you want, just to make sure you have. In fact, you could stamp your greeting before you stamp your birds. I'm going to cover that up. It's a little crooked, but that's all right. I'm going to stamp it on a different piece of cardstock anyway. So let me just stamp it then on my cardstock here. Now this scrap of cardstock is wider than I'm going to want. In the end, I'm just going to cut that down. Okay, so now we have all our stamping done. And then we're using this ombre ribbon. Oh, I just love this. I didn't know how much I would like it, but in person it's just really pretty. In the catalog, because it's the ombre, it's a little bit hard to see the color variation, but it's very pretty. Okay, so we're going to just put a little adhesive on the back side of this cardstock just to get my ribbon in place. And this is a fairly flat card with my stamping until I put these little pop-up flowers on it. So you can stamp and then color it when it's on the full card. You can go ahead and glue it down if you want. If you believe that you're going to color, fine. If you may end up wanting to recut, restamp, recolor, I'm going to put a little extra adhesive on here, just on the ribbon side. Since I'm not coloring near the ribbon, I'm just going to go ahead and layer this on now so you guys can see the full card. Okay, that's on the inside, right? And then we're going to glue these other pieces on the outsides. Now normally I don't write the dimensions on the back of my cardstock, but I just thought today that would be the simplest way to show you all the measurements. I know when I'm watching videos I like to rewind and pause if there's a part that I want to see some measurements. Let's see, and then this is on the bottom. Remember, your taller one is on the bottom. And the dimensions on this, there's a little bit more you can see that the layer is not even here. I could squish it over a little bit. It's easier to do a 1/4 inch dimension to tell that than another one that's off by an 1/8, so I didn't do it really super precise on that, but you could of course adjust the dimensions depending on the size images you're using and other things. Alright, so now I'm going to just trim down this cardstock a little bit. You know, I've been doing a lot of banners lately, and so we're going to do that again. Snip in the middle and then come and flag it from both sides. And I'm going to have this one go off to the side a little bit. I'll get a shorter piece of ribbon here. I just wanted to add a little bit of ribbon to the outside and the inside. In fact, the ribbon that I put on the inside was sort of a last minute addition. I liked the ribbon so much I wanted to have a little bit more. This is one of the projects we did in my stamp club this month, so you'll see it on the Stamp Club project playlist. So every month I have some ladies that gather together to stamp and learn techniques and do some cards, and I just offer a free class for them, and then they just get to take home some product. They order product, whatever product they would like, so they can craft at home as well. We also have a extra entry into our door prize if they bring something they've stamped, so I like to think that that encourages people to use the supplies they have on hand. I know sometimes I get busy doing other things and I forget to take time to craft, but it really is a wonderful stress reliever for me. I can tell if I've not had any creative time for a while. Okay, and I'm going to just put this banner right flush to the left of this layer. This card is not very colorful right now. I didn't want to take time to color it for you. Here's the original one. And you'll see that a lot of it, I didn't color in the full item. I just colored in portions of it. Mostly because I get tired of coloring. I want to do other stuff. And then you just remember you got your other stamped flowers to pop up and put on the ends there. And like I said, this is really simple to stamp, but it is very colorful and bright when you're finished. And perhaps it's that Calypso coral that I used. Here's another one I did. I didn't end up liking the layout that much at the end because I was like, that doesn't really make sense to have two chairs together. But it's the same style of card. I could do it again and just move around the greetings and the images, but it's using that paper that changes shades, that it's a Color Theory Suite paper, so that's kind of fun. Alright, so anyway, there's the card. I hope you enjoyed that. Like I said, email me if you want me to send you a one of these templates. I think I'm going to type it up and have it be just a little more professional looking. It will also help me remember later what I did. So thanks for joining me today, and go have some fun crafting.